Hello, welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube. Myself, Mark Harlow, and Riley Finch. Mate, we've seen some crowd trouble recently. We've seen it like a few times, especially been in Europe. We've noticed it. But Anderlecht at home during last week was quite bad. You know, it was pretty shocking, and not from the West Ham fans' point of view. I thought the travelling support from Belgium were pretty shocking. But in general, I was going to speak to you about it. Really, I mean, in terms of not just about that situation, which we will obviously talk about, but also in general, like Dave and X were talking about on the podcast, a real culture issue at the moment surrounding West Ham, especially on away days as well, where there just seems to be quite a high volume now of fans that go to these games specifically just to cause trouble, and that's even amongst their own. Well, first of all, what's your take on all of it? Is it something you've noticed over the last, recent years, let's say?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it's more the European days that sort of draw it out of us, especially the away days. Whether I'm being biased here or not, I always seem to think we're being aggravated by other fans, and often we're getting painted in a bad light. I think the days of the Green Street West Ham kind of, I don't think that's there anymore. I mean, I think we are a family club now. I don't really think you see a West Ham fan and you're expecting trouble. It's not the same kind of prejudice you get when you sort of see a Millwall fan or I don't know. I haven't really seen too much of it. The only thing I will say is the amount of pitch invaders and wankers we see jumping on the pitch and trying to cause fights with everybody is ridiculous. But again, I just think that's people looking for their 5 minutes of fame. I wouldn't pin that down just to West Ham fans, but we do seem to attract a lot of trouble. I don't know if we're causing it. I don't know what's good, but we do seem to attract a lot. Cast your mind back to the Europa League run last year. I think Frankfurt, we had trouble. Sevilla, we had trouble with Frankfurt. Obviously, they just don't like us very much. Lyon, I think we had quite a lot of trouble with them as well. Like, we do seem to attract a lot of trouble. And whether that is because of the history of the Green Street and what West Ham used to represent back in the day, I'm not sure. But I think for the most part, Premier League, we don't seem to have any bust ups or anything like that. I remember when we first moved to the stadium, we played Chelsea and we were throwing coins because the way the thing was positioned, it was like we were like above the Chelsea fans because they used to be at that home end. And I think they were throwing coins and ripping up chairs and throwing them. And then since they moved the away stand to where it is now, I haven't seen any trouble. So it's a weird one, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only going off of what I know. I mean, in terms of, as you say, I don't really notice many issues at home. I go obviously, I've got a season ticket. Go over the ground. Don't really see many issues, to be honest. I know that you do get younger lads that have that kind of different, interest. Let's call it. I mean, I was there at the Fulham game, and there was a few lads near me, and all they wanted to do was just stare at the Fulham fans and do things. I was sort of thinking, like, just watch the match. Like, why are you so bothered? Like, why are you just? You do notice that, but again, I'm talking out of like thousands of people in my review. We're talking about 4 or 5 guys, so it's not like it was a real problem, a real issue. But you just notice some of these people thinking, why are you here? Do you know what I mean? Why would you buy a ticket just to have no interest in the game?
Well, to be fair, one thing I noticed as well is I went to the Spurs game earlier this season, and there turned out to be quite a few Spurs fans, and there always is in the home end, and some of them were wearing full Spurs tracksuits or whatever. And I don't agree with that necessarily, but there was literally people who were shouting and talking to the stewards and saying, move them, like, get them out of the way, get them out of the way. There was literally a guy who I swear to God was talking to a steward for about 10 minutes. And I'm thinking, just watch the game. Well, what's the point? If they're not aggravating you or whatever, tell the steward.
I mean, the club in my eyes, they need to do more. I think, we just need all you got to do is just stamp out certain types of behaviour. They just need to act on it. The problem is we've got, and I talked about it in the week with Tony Cotty mentioned it, and saying the problem is with West Ham is that the fact we don't own the stadium, we don't own the stewards. These are all subcontractors that we don't have any involvement with, so they don't really get it. They're just stadium stewards. They don't give a shit about football traditions really. They're just sort of thinking, okay. So they're probably not bothered by it. That's what West Ham need. They need to go back to a proper football ground where it's properly run and the stewards of West Ham employees understand it and go, right, this is the system. And if they see anyone walking in with a Spurs tracksuit or anything like that, they go, boom, no, you're not allowed in here. This is West Ham only. We're not, all you're doing is coming in to antagonise. We're not doing that. And also as well, if you've got people that are causing trouble, like you've said, like pitch invaders, and they just got to be banned straight away. Bang, lifetime ban, done. I don't care. I don't want a 6-month ban or you know you can come next season. No, just complete lifetime ban, done. It soon stamp all that stuff out. One thing that really bugs me, mate, it really pissed me off was the fact that these Anderlecht fans. I don't know. I mean, when you go into London Stadium, and I've never still got this, and I still don't. This stupid security check. Like, what's the point in it? Because when I find they go through one, they don't really seem to care, but they also hone in on really stupid things. Like I remember walking in once, I had a bottle of water, and he made me get rid of it. Like, and it was literally half a bottle of water. And I was just like, but I was going in to get a beer anyway, I think, or whatever. But I was like, well, really? And he was like, no, you can't bring that in with you. You can't bring that. Like, really, as if I had a gun on me. Can you discard that straight away or drink it now and get rid of it? And then, yeah, you're watching Anderlecht fans throwing flares. There was one that looked like he had a fucking flamethrower in his hand. I'm thinking, how on earth are these people getting this stuff in? And how do they get it into the country? I mean, they've travelled from Belgium. How are these people travelling around? I mean, if you've travelled, mate, you know what it's like. You can't. They go through your bag. They go through everything. They rip everything apart, looking for anything they can find. And I mean, I've travelled with my children. Do you know what I mean? So I'm probably looking more than this because I've got my missus and 2 kids with me. So, and they'll still go rip through our bags. And then you see these Belgian people that are showing up, you know, young lads, balaclavaed up, all got these flares and things and whatever they've got. And it just baffles my brain. I'm sitting there thinking, how the hell have you got this here? How have you done it? I just don't understand it. I really struggle to get my head around it. And it's certainly something that needs sorting out at that stadium. Something's not right. And I know you say it wasn't, you know, you're right. Watch the game. Don't get too bothered about it. But it does piss you off, doesn't it, when you walk around thinking, why have they let someone in that's wearing a away top in the home end and they're just going, well, not much you can do about it. It's like, well, there is something you can do about it. You just don't let them in. You go, no, you're not coming in. And if they do, even if they have got a coat on over it and then they take it over, grab them and go, you're getting out. You can't stand in there with a fucking Tottenham top on.
Yeah, look, mate,
it
would piss me off too, but not to the point where I'm going to sacrifice, you know, it honestly, and this is what I'm talking about, and this is what you're saying as well. Why aren't you watching the game? Why are you bothered about the Fulham fans? Why are you bothered about the Spurs fans? Just what, you know, you're there to watch a game. You should just watch the game. I mean, and I completely agree with you on the whole stadium thing. I mean, I've brought a bag in there many a time and they literally just go, yeah, that's fine, mate, no worries. And I just sort of think to myself, like, I can have anything in that bloody bag, anything. You know, I could have, you know, 12 bottles of water in there.
Oh,
and,
shit.
You know,
don't do that,
dangerous
mate.
stuff. I remember being in the line
mate.
once. I remember being in the line once, and this lady had like a lady. She was like probably like only a teenager, bless her. She had like a pot of ice cream or whatever, and the guy said,
"I hope she's arrested.
You're not bringing that in. You're not bringing that in." So she was sat there waiting. She was literally just shoveling it into her mouth, and like she was getting bravery and everything. And
personally, that's a stadium ban for me. I mean, that would have been an immediate stadium ban. Yeah, absolutely. And
it's just a weird one. I don't know, like, because I think it used to be the whole like, oh, if you throw bottles at players and stuff, it's, you know, that's not good. And but I think, well, number one, you'd have to have some fucking arm to reach a player on that pitch, considering how far away you go. So, you know, unless you're letting fucking Tom Brady in with a bottle of water, I think you should be all right. But I don't think it's that. Obviously, it's money. But you know, my granddad brings a flask in every week. He could have tequila in there. Could have anything in there. But they never check that. You know,
the problem is that I don't think the staffing levels that ground just aren't good. Like even when you go around to the bars and stuff, and the some of the service is pretty shocking. I mean,
some of the points
they genuinely look like they've just got people off the street and gone, yeah, you're working today at London Stadium, and they're just like, do you know how to pull a pint? No, that's fine. Wing it, you'll be laughing. How many fans have got to serve? Oh, I don't know, about 10,000. You know, in a space of about 20 minutes. You know, it's like it's just so bad. Like I mean, some of the service there is shocking, but the security is so wrong. But it's really disappointing as well. And what really pisses me off with this Anderlecht business is that you just know West Ham are going to get punished for that. You just know we will. They're never just going to blame, even though Anderlecht, to be fair to them, come out publicly, the club, and apologised to West Ham and said that they're really ashamed of their supporters' behaviour. You just know that UEFA are licking their lips, going, let's see what we can throw at West Ham for this. Because I guarantee you, something's coming our way. What do you reckon?
Oh, mate, I mean, I think I did hear that while Anderlecht fans had smuggled in flares, we'd smuggled in bottles of water and we were returning fire with the bottles of water at the people throwing flares. So I think that is equal level of kind of dangerous weapons. but it's a weird one, and I completely agree with you that no doubt there will be some form of, maybe we'll be blamed for the fact that flares were even
I
allowed
know
in
what
the
it'll be,
stadium.
mate. I know what it'll be. It'll be we failed to control the crowds at the ground. That's what they'll
Yeah,
say.
we
You failed to
failed to
control
remove
the away
flares.
fans and the home fans. You failed to control it. And that's what it'll be. I'm sure that's going to happen. I'm all but certain. So, yeah, just really annoying. I mean, let's just hope then. I mean, we're expecting big things to change at West Ham coming in the next year or two. I am expecting at some point we are going to own that stadium. And sooner the bloody better, because like it will stop things like that. Because we never had any of this Upton Park, mate. Like it just didn't happen. Like there was never in a million years would you have seen away fans walking around in the home end ever. Like
Well, you'd be
unheard of.
terrified to, wouldn't you? You'd
They
have your
should be
life
now,
on your
mate. They
life.
should be now. They should be terrified now. Like, I mean, I've never known who would in their right mind ever go to a ground. Like, if someone said to you, mate, I've got a ticket for you tomorrow at St Mary's. It's in the home end, and you go, yeah, fuck it. I'm going to rock up in my West Ham gear and stroll amongst the
Football
Southampton fans. I
boots,
would
scarf.
never dream of it. I'd never dream of it. I might take up the opportunity. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't personally, because I'm not really keen on sitting with other fans. It's just not my bag. But if I fancy watching the game that desperately, I would never be arrogant enough to sit there in my West Ham top or West Ham tracksuit and think, because I'd be sitting there thinking the whole time I'm going to get the shit kicked out of me in a minute. Especially, you know what I mean? I just don't get it.
Spurs
I
as
don't
well.
get
Of
these
all,
fans.
of all clubs, the club we probably hate the most in the world,
You must
to
have
rock up in
death
a Spurs tracksuit. I mean, the guy's got some cojones on him. I mean, to be fair to the guy that got kicked out was about 6'5", and was a massive black guy. So
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't have kicked him out if I was a steward. But
yeah, leave that. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know,
Yeah, so it's a problem,
weird
mate.
one.
Whatever way we look at it, it's a big problem, and it does need sorting out. But I'm hoping that once we do own that stadium, which I'm sure will happen eventually, that things like this will start to deteriorate and go away, because I just don't think normal football clubs wouldn't put up with that. They wouldn't let people stroll in Spurs tracksuits on and letting flares in and all that. I mean, it just needs to stop.
I still think you'll be waiting a while to bring your own water in, though, Mark. As much as I wish I could tell you otherwise.
I hope so, mate. That'll be the day, mate. That'll be the bloody day. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers.